HR troops have not yet entered Berlin, no. I don't do a lot of Stellaris. I used to. I've done quite a few multiplayer games of Stellaris with followers and subscribers. It's just that it gets dry relatively quickly, I find. Like, playing 2 or 3 games, fantastic. I absolutely love it. And then after that, I'm like, eh. The end game is just so, eh. And what I find is you get these massive blobs that form, and then the game just grinds to a halt. It gets boring because no one wants to attack each other. EU4 is a lot of fun. I do like it. I'm finding it getting a little bit burnt out. Like, I'm really enjoying the multiplayer, but the single player, playing through Muscovy was a bit of a drag. It was just too easy. I get very bored very quickly when games are too easy. Alright, we are now producing a lot of artillery. So, Illyria, do you have any additional people that I can press into the army? Yeah, you have loads. And there's pluralism. We're going to wait until manoeuvre now, though. So let's start training some more of those Illyrians. Not Brits, Illyrians. Train some more sharks. Because we have easily got the equipment for it. So we're going to get 2 manoeuvres. I think the psychology can be done at any time. Yeah, it is not a design company, so psychology can be done whenever. So we just need to get these 2 manoeuvre guys. Julius Ringel and Rudolf. It's the Kaiser. The Kaiser is one of the manoeuvre commanders, right? Yeah, Ringel. Ha! He was enjoying serving in the Austrian military so much, he actually abdicated the imperial crown of Germany just so he could serve in Austria, and he left his son to take over in Germany. That's what a guy he is. That is what a guy he is. Master Matt, hello, how are you? Are we going to see some more Dwarven Domination too soon? Yes, I am going to be replacing the EU4 streams on Thursdays with Total War. For the foreseeable future. As in, this Thursday. Next week, there's not going to be any streams. I'll be streaming as usual this week. Next week, no streams. Then after that, touch wood, we'll be back to usual schedule. No more interruptions. And now he's going to go back to Berlin leading an army of Austrians. Precisely. Ooh. We've actually filled up an entire naval construction thingy. Interesting. In that case, yes. Go ahead and produce me some light cruisers. That would be lovely. Okay, our navy is progressing quite nicely. And we will need to buy in some more steel. Actually, let's renegotiate Hungary's steel deal with us, because clearly they need to sell us some more. And then oil. We can buy oil from Mexico for the moment. We may need to change that to, say, the Italian Federation, but I don't really want to give them more autonomy than I absolutely need to. Speaking of which, Hungary is getting closer and closer to being integrated. They've actually got a ticking reduction to autonomy, which is interesting. Italy's getting more autonomous, as is France. Where's France? France is because they're lend-leasing and exporting. See, that export increases. Horrible. And Illyria plus 307 because of exports. Horrible. Total war. Am I going to switch the Dwarven campaign with the Norsen one once it's released? I considered it. I definitely considered it. When I saw that was the upcoming game today, I was like, ooh, Norska, interesting. That would certainly suit a Mordred Viking playthrough. Possibly. I mean, the plan at the moment for Total War is to do a multiplayer game with Tome, because we want to play as the High Elves. That looks like it's going to be a very interesting co-op game. Other than that, though, I wanted to do a single-player game as the Empire with both maps stitched together. A properly grand campaign, because I love playing as the Empire. The Empire are definitely my nation. but it's not going to release with that stitching together. So maybe I will do a single player Norscan. It's not a bad idea. Maybe. Like, I just in general need to play more Total War. I really want that series to do well on YouTube, so unfortunately a lot of the games that I play are dictated by how well they do on YouTube. Games that I absolutely adore, like Tyranny, I really want to play more of that. It just doesn't get enough views to make it worthwhile, and I have limited time. There is only so much I can do. Okay, let's go and grab Julius Ringel, because clearly he wants to serve. Here's Austria, even more. Other than cancelling exports, what options are there to lower autonomy? The only one that you can really do is build stuff in their territories, and frankly Austria is a bigger concern for me right now, so I want to build Austria up first. After that though, I can start plumping stuff around in their territories. It's not terrible. What do I think of Billy Talent's recent album? Recent as in released when? I haven't paid that much attention, I must confess. The last Billy Talent one I have is... give me a second. Ooh, I'm probably several albums behind, in fact. Oh yeah, Are you talking about Afraid of the Heights? Wow, the Spotify listing for Billy Talent is not that good. Oh, I was looking at the album. Yeah. That's the hits. 10th anniversary. Dead Silence is the one I'd seen before. So yeah, Afraid of the Heights, that one you mean? I haven't actually listened to any of that stuff. I did not know they had a new album. I will be adding that to my list right now. Blink. Done. Interesting. Okay, Concentrated Industry 4 is done. We now have 50% bonus speed to assembly line production, so it was well worth waiting on that one. Ziggler, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's always nice when people pop by and say, hey, I've been watching your other stuff. I like what you're doing. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Master Matt, what happened in the war in this campaign? I happened. Basically, I was planning to take my time, build up, my usual thing, but then I got a claim on the Italian throne. I pressed it. Italy went, no. Then I declared war on them to press that throne, took out Italy. Once I'd taken out Italy, Socialist Italy decided they wanted a piece of me. They declared war, brought in France, brought in the Union of Britain. Socialist Italy fell, France fell, Britain fell, and I puppeted everything I possibly could in response. Basically, good times were had by the Austrian army. And yes, as Welder Owens was saying, if you want to support the channel in other ways, then do check out Patreon as well. I don't get paid for this Twitch stuff, although I really need to look into the becoming an affiliate. But the best way to support this channel at the moment, to let me do what I do, is to check out Patreon there. It is a subscription service where you pay a certain number of dollars a month. That is entirely up to you what level you are, you feel you're able to do, and you get certain rewards for it. So for example, I have a very active Discord channel. If you have certain rewards, then you get a higher or a better colour, but a higher tier on the Discord channel, and you get more colours. I start naming units or generals or armies in the game after people. So for example, we have Wrecking Havoc here. That's one of you, and then Nimunda as well. That's another. So those are both Patreons. QWERTY Death, another Patreon. So you'll start seeing yourself appearing in these games, especially in ones like RimWorld. You can watch yourself die. Oh, that's another series I really need to do. I actually wrote like a list of all the series that I want to start doing again. RimWorld is definitely on that list. It's just finding the time. There's only so many series I can keep going at once. Okay, January 42. So it is definitely time to start researching the next one. We need to get a School of Maneuver, grab him, research tier 3, medium tanks, start whamming those guys out, and then we can continue with the national focus. Cool. But for now we can actually stop. I might actually get the next level heavy so we can start building some of those. We can actually skip that one and go straight to this one. You know what? I'm going to add a heavy tank. set or not. Hey, Poznik. Giving them Lend-Lease does the same crazy effect, but lowering instead of raising. Interesting. Okay, and actually, France, are you still Lend-Leasing to me? You were, you're not anymore. Probably because we're not at war. Okay, Britain, you have finished training your troops. Marvellous. One set, and I'll have them deploy. Excellent. Let's add you to an army and have you actually training up, because I believe that your manpower is slightly low. Yes. Oh no, 100% manpower. What are you short on? 36 anti-tank. Ah, I need to research some anti-tanks. Okay, that can be arranged. So we got the new model army, which are my heavy tank units. They'll be the most defensive. Alright. Navy, we've got another ship now. Still entirely heavy cruisers and battleships, which is kind of hilarious. At some point I might actually scuttle the battleships. Should I? Let's compare the battleships. Oh, that was the tactical bomber. The next level of tactical bomber is not as quick researching as I was hoping it would be. Neither of those. Do I want decimetric radar before we do anything else? Possibly. No, we want anti-tank so we can actually make some. Like, I'm not going to make many, just enough to maintain the British forces. What was I going to check? There was something. I've forgotten. Hey, the Mystic Mist. Welcome, welcome. And I still have a bunch of army experience which I can then immediately spend on the tier 3 medium tanks to make them even more awesome. Marvellous. Baratio Commune has capitulated. That's going to mean that the Dominion's even stronger, which means the Entente's even stronger. Ooh, is the Union State fighting back? I have a feeling they are. You got Burma as well. Interesting. I have a feeling they might actually be fighting back. You have about 50 divisions. You have about 100. And the CSA is definitely starting to over-industrialize. Oh yeah, you're massively out-industrializing, but you're on scraping the barrel already like idiots. Both of you are. You have about 3 million troops available. You have about 7.5, 8 million troops available. Oh, that AI is so frustrating. You don't need to do that. What plans do I have for Austria? I plan to puppet the world and control everything from Vienna. Well, it's not so much control. That's wrongly worded. The plan here is to integrate everyone into the greater Austrian sphere so that we can provide them with the magnanimous and well-meaning and civilized oversight that only the Austrian Empire can provide them. Am I going to go to America? I don't know. It kind of depends what happens. If we beat the German Empire too easily, then I'll probably just call it at that point. Because once we start to snowball, it's no fun. We've already overcome the biggest hurdle, which is the International. But part of the reason I'm being so reluctant to invade Germany is because I want them building up, and I want them to be difficult to take. Plus, it's allowing me to actually industrialize Austria again, which we had not really done. Alright. Oh, it's getting warm in here. Ugh. Schweti, not very pleasant. Can I build more of these? Friuli, that's Italy, and that's Illyria. No. Is it possible to see how many of these I'm getting from allies? Really? 32 of our 46 military factories are received from subjects. Huh. And it does not look like you get naval dockyards from your subjects, which is weird. That's something that needs to be looked into. And I get 10 civilian factories from the subjects. Okay. After I puppet everyone, what other countries am I interested in Kaiserreich? I'd quite like to try Carlist Spain. I'd really like to do another USA run through, but single player this time rather than multiplayer, and hopefully actually finish the game. Actually created a whole list. Let's dig that up. Mexico, another Civil War USA, Carlist Spain, Union of Britain, and actually finish the game. Mongolia, I want to give that another crack. Canada, because I want to play that again because I didn't get it onto YouTube. Likewise with Russia. And then maybe, possibly, potentially, Commune of France. And if you know of any other countries which could be of interest, let me know. Don't say China, because I'm not doing anything Chinese until the next Chinese update comes out. And then I'll probably play as the legation cities, because that sounds awesome. More excavation for more resources. I'm not sure we need them. Those are still being upgraded. We don't have any mechanized, although I'd quite like to have the ability to use mechanized. So let's start researching it. And we have 3 factories. Can start building some interwar bombers. Yeah, I don't think so. Let's just start getting some regular guns. Yeah, the Ottomans have done really well this game. Quad, I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Good stuff. Fight Germany and Russia at the same time. It's not a bad idea. At least we don't have the giant Russo-Japanese alliance this time. I don't think that Russia and Japan particularly like each other, which is better. Italy. Yes, that is a very good point. Italy is supposed to be near the top of my list. I'd totally forgotten about Italy. Thank you. I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, Italy is definitely on the list. See, I just added it. You could watch me writing it. Because I didn't want to do the Italian Federation until the Socialists had a focus group, because they would be my main opponent. Now they do. So yes, Italy is in the running. Build level 10 forts. Makes it too easy. Federal Italy. Definitely federal. Infrastructure destruction. Oh really? You haven't researched anything further? Bah, humbug. Right, let's get some more interception, shall we? Good for the fighters. Means we can shoot stuff down. Now, fighters are pretty decent. Like, they are really upgraded thanks to all the air experience that we have generated, and still another 2 years before the 44 fighters are available. So we definitely want to kick off the war before then. Battle Pope. Yeah, Battle Pope. Legation cities consist of waiting around for Qing to roll you over. No, not really. Once the China update comes out, legation cities are getting a really quite interesting focus tree from what I've read about them in the dev diary. So legation cities look really interesting because you're constantly trying to get the balance of power between the different triads, and you're playing the different big nations off against each other. You're like the arc manipulator playing the legation cities, and that kind of appeals to me. I've never really gone commie in this mod. I play as the Union of Britain in the multiplayer game, but not like full-on commie, no. Which is why I probably should, at some point, maybe play as the Commune of France. But I just generally prefer playing as Britain. Yeah, the legation cities really would be. I'm holding the major economies hostage, definitely. Are you done training yet? Come on. 6 days until we can start producing the anti-tanks. Political power is still ticking up slowly. It's because the hourly tick rate is really gone down to a crawl. I'm not entirely sure why, because there's not really many fights going on except in America. Hinchenbaum, Sharias, Matru, Gabriel, thank you very much for the follow, appreciate that. China update should be around the end of the year. I don't know. I don't think they've announced any release date. I have no idea how you even pronounce that name. GKSKCNW. Geeks know. And Chopero, thank you very much for the follow. Alright, Toad AT is done. Should we continue on this? No, we should get the tier 3 artillery because it is 42. Unless there's a 42 research, which there is. Send volunteers to the Ottomans. That is actually a pretty good idea. I can send 7 volunteers. Unfortunately, the problem is I'd have to push across here. Because I don't think you can do a naval invasion as a volunteer force. And that's the only person you're at war with, right? Them in Tripoli. Yeah. I mean, it would be easier to do it as the American Union state, so I could take out the combined syndicates completely. Possibly. Good to save and reload, help with the slow game. I doubt it, considering this has only been running for an hour. I can try. Send 7 heavy tanks and wins the entire war. That's true, I could send the British. There's only 6 of them. These guys are almost done training. Have I got any more randoms? Oh yeah, I've got quite a few. And you guys go ahead and deploy in Lika. And also start training. Big PSA is because the United States fell and the PSA took a bunch of them. Play as the Ottomans. I've really done a game as the Ottomans. I'm really tempted to go and help the Union State. We don't see the Union State winning very often. You know what, let's do it. Who should we send? I could send the Nova Legions again. Because the British stuff is going to be harder to replace, so I don't particularly want to send them. Oh, sorry, you were saying to Etash Zombie plays the Ottomans. Germany is definitely the best introduction. I'm sorry, I missed that comment. Yeah, Germany is the best one because Germany puts all the other events and everything else into context. Like Black Monday, what the hell does that mean? Play as Germany, you'd understand it. And then from there you can play as anyone else. Like Germany is definitely the best introduction. Once you've played as Germany, then honestly the world is your oyster. I'd strongly recommend playing as Russia at least once. Russia is a fascinating game. The Ottomans are really good. The Ottomans are kind of... You can see the full extent of the focuses and the events, especially the event chains for Ottomans are extremely well done. Union of Britain is an interesting challenge because the German Empire actually has a humongous navy and they can quite... Not easily, but they can certainly destroy your navy so that you become isolated and stranded on your island. That makes for an interesting game, and then it's kind of how do you then use air power while trying to defend your borders? Do you try and shift the balance of power back to your favour from the sea, chipping away at them, guerrilla warfare, that type of thing? It's an interesting game. Commune of France, a bit of a meat grinder, but you could certainly do that. The Americas, the Civil War is interesting. I'm going to play as that again. Canada's an interesting one. Basically set yourself the goal of making Britain British again. Play as Canada with the goal of taking Britain again. It's certainly an option. Principally Federation was interesting. You start very isolated. You don't really have any friends in the world. Japan's good. Japan's a strong choice. But yeah, Germany is definitely the one that you want to start with.